Hey guys, and welcome back. Today I'm trying to show you my class tier list for every class in solos, duos and trios. Just behold, that's my opinion. I know everyone has another opinion, but I think some of you will agree with me, and I try to hold it as short as possible, but I will also say something to every class on this list and why I think it deserves its place there. First on the solo list we have Barbarian and C tier. I think that because the only way to play him is edgy barb and you don't have a chance against plate, you don't see casters in solos. Druid can run away from you, Bard can kite you, Ranger can trap and kite you, Rogue one-taps you, so I think it's a deserved C tier for Barbarian. Next up on the list we have Bard, an A tier. It's a safe A tier for me, cause if a really good Bard players can almost destroy every class. They have Shriek of Weakness against plate, they have a survival bow or crossbow to kite ranged classes. They have high DPS, they have high movement speed most of the time, they're kinda tanky if they build HP, and yeah, I think Bard is just an overall good class for solos, and if you play him good, you destroy every class. Next up we have Cleric, and I think Cleric is self-explanatory, one of the best characters, high damage, high DPS, tanky as fuck, has ranged abilities, can play Judgment Smite, can also play spells. It's just the variety and diversity of the character compared with damage and tankiness makes him clear S tier. Next up we have the Fighter on B tier. I think he's the same as the Barbarian. He's just a bit better than the Barbarian because he's tankier and he can use a bow. That's legit the only build difference to Barbarian for me. So I think he's B tier and that's why Barbarian is C tier. Next up we have Ranger, and some of you will disagree with me now, but I think he's B tier, same as Fighter, because he's not tanky. He's most of the time not fast enough and can be landmined by Rogue and one-tapped in split of a second. I think it's arguable if Ranger's really B tier, but I think he doesn't deserve more in solos at least. A really good Ranger player can easily be S tier, but I think the general Ranger player is B tier. Next up we have Rogue, and yeah, I can't say much about it. He's the best of all of them in solos right now. He can 2-3 tap plate because of his armor pen. He's really fast, he can creep around the whole dungeon, he has an invis. He has really high damage, high agility, high movement speed. He has high dexterity, so he attacks really fast. I think Rogue is by far the best class right now in solos. Warlock, I don't really know if I put him high B tier or low A tier, because in general it's a really good class, and if you play him right he could probably be S tier, but only because Rogue is so strong and there's edgy barb. I think Warlock is not higher than B tier in solos, because if you have a really fast class that can catch up to you, or a Rogue that landmines you with Cutthroat or gets on you somehow with Cutthroat, you're instantly dead. And I think Warlock is a crazy good class, but in solos he's only B tier. Next up we have the Wizard, and I think I would put Wizard in D tier if it wasn't for the Staff Mastery build, the Bonk build. Wizard would be by far the worst class in solo. With the Bonk build I think he's fine. You can play him, he's viable, but it's still not good in my opinion. He's even slightly worse than Barbarian. I never died to a Bonk Wizard in I don't know how long, but I see that the build is still kinda viable, but it's still pretty shit. I wouldn't recommend it, but try it out if you want. Last up we have Druid on 8 for me. I don't know really much about Druid. They're just a really mobile CC heavy class, and if they get on you with Bear or Panther they deal tons of damage. I don't know if Druid deserves A tier really, but every time I play against it, it feels like a pain in the ass, and I wish the class would have never come out, so I think A tier is pretty deserved with Bard. Yeah, and that's it for my solo tier list, and let's go to the duo tier list. In duos, of course, some things change a lot, because you have a second partner, you can get range even as a Barbarian. That's why Barbarian goes into B tier for me in duos, because you can get a Ranger or a Cleric or a Warlock or a Rogue, something that helps you utilize your kit better, and that you have a bit of range, a bit of protection cover for yourself, and I think that's why Barbarian goes up one step, and yeah. But I still think he's not good enough to keep up with most of the other classes. Next up we have Bard in B tier, and for me he goes down a step because in duos you can't utilize his kit as good anymore as you could in solos or in trios. He's still a pretty good class, you could put him A tier, his buffs are still pretty insane, his kit is good. But I just feel like if you're not really good with your teammate, Bard just drops down one tier because his kit is not as efficient as it is in solos or duos. Trios, sorry. Then we have Cleric again on S tier, same as Solos, same as it will be in Trios. Class is just giga broken and insane right now, has range, damage, tankiness, heals, everything you want from a class. I don't know what to say about Cleric. Everyone that plays Solos, Trios or Duos knows how OP Cleric is, and we will just go on. Next up we have Fighter in B tier. I think Fighter is better in Duos than in Solos because your teammate can help you with your weaknesses, same with Barbarian, but I still think he's behind Barbarian because your teammate can get rid of your weaknesses of Barbarian better than it can with Fighter, because Fighter has ranged from the beginning and that's why he doesn't profit that much from his teammate as Barbarian does. So he's still just a Fighter but with a teammate that can probably help him. Next up we have Ranger. Ranger goes up to A tier for me because now he has a teammate that can protect him, that can peer for him. He has only 2 threats to eliminate. He's a way better class in Duos than in Solos because he actually has cover, so he goes up for me to A tier. Rogue goes down a step actually because Rogue really doesn't need the teammate. Rogue wants to play on his own, he wants to creep around and has his own playstyle. Of course he's still pretty good, he has high damage, high DPS, everything I talked about, that's why he's still A tier. But I think Rogue doesn't really benefit or profit from having a teammate, so I think he's A tier really good, but not as good as in Solos. He's not dominating as much, also because he meets more tankier classes in Solos. Then we have Warlock, and I put Warlock in S tier because I think Warlock maybe benefits the most from having a teammate because you get room to play, you have protection, nobody can run you down as fast as in Solos, you just have cover, and all Warlock needs to like cook is a protection or cover from his teammates. Wizard goes into B tier. It's the same as Warlock for me, but just a weaker. Wizard's kit is just not as good. He doesn't have as high damage. He has no sustain. I think Bard goes into A tier because he's just better than all 3 of them, but Wizard just needs a partner to cook as well. He's a team class, not a solo class, and that's why Wizard goes into B tier here for me. Last up we have Druid, and again I don't know that much about Druid, but every time he's annoying as fuck. He can red around, he can panther from you, he just distracts the enemy team really good. He has high CC for his own team, he has high mobility, he just makes space for his team. He can also block someone in and win a whole team fight on his own. I just think Druid is a good overall class in Duos and Trios as in Solos. And yeah, that's my tier list for Duos, and let's go on to the last Trio tier list. Then again we have our lovely Barbarian and he goes back to C tier. I don't think it's because Barbarian necessarily is that bad in Trios, it's just because the options are way better. Like Cleric frontline is 10 times stronger than Barbarian. That's what makes Barbarian C tier for me in Trios. You will barely see any Barbarians in Trios. High in S tier we have Bard, and what can I say, Bard can utilize his full kit. He's together with Cleric, the strongest classes in Trios. They are so good together. The buffs from Bard on his teammates are so good that you can legit run double Cleric Bard and you will W key almost every team, except they play really good with casters. But yeah, Bard and Cleric are on top of the chain in Trios right now. They work so well together, and yeah, if you want to go for a good metacom Trios, go Cleric and Bard definitely. Then we have our lovely Fighter next to our Barbarian brother, and what can I say, Cleric is just a better fighter at the moment. They both don't really work as frontliners as they're supposed to be. Cleric is just way better than him, and yeah, that's why I have to put them on C tier. Ranger goes back down to B tier because he can't use his kit anymore really. He's still okay, he can cook, he can totally change a team fight if you're really geared, but there's so much here, there's so much PDR in the game in Trios. There's so much frontline that it's hard for Ranger to actually do something in the teamfight. Same goes for Rogue. Rogue gets 2-tapped by almost everything in Trios. He can still do some really nasty flanks and invises, and if you're a really good Rogue you have still a lot of success on Rogue. But it gets rough, it gets really rough as a Rogue. Next up we have Warlock in S tier, and Warlock is in my opinion totally broken. You have so much sustain, you have high damage. You can, if you have a bit of space, you destroy every team fight. Your Hydra is completely insane. You can change team fights, you can close entrances with your Hydra, you can hold for your team. It's crazy. Next up we have Wizard in A tier, and yeah, what can I say? This is where Wizard really shines. You have 2 teammates around you, you have space and time to cook in the best part. You have a frontliner who you can send in, you can chain lightning a whole team. Like, Wizard is just a trio class, and if you play Wizard really good, you can definitely shine in trios and destroy every team solo. Then we have Druid again, just a really good class in every aspect of the game. He's not the best in anything, I think, but in trios, just again, the CC he has, the damage he has, the space he can give a team, the mobility he has to move in and out, the distance he can cover with his chicken and panther form, crazy. That was my tier list. I hope you had fun, and see ya.